They didn't just agree with Malcolm X, they were afraid of him. The FBI opened a file on him. Newspapers called him a hate preacher. Civil rights leaders kept their distance. The most powerful country in the world tried to silence one man with a message. And when words didn't stop him, bullets did. Born Malcolm Little in 1925 in Omaha, Nebraska, his father Earl was a Baptist teacher and devoted follower of Marcus Garvey, the man who told black people across the world that Africa was their home, their pride, and their future. That belief made them a target. White supremacist groups threatened them repeatedly. When Malcolm was still a child, his father turned up dead near a streetcar line. Most people believed it was no accident. His mother was institutionalized shortly after. The children were scattered. Malcolm was on his own before he was a teenager. He drifted. Boston, Harlem, the streets. They called him Detroit Red. He ran numbers, dealt drugs, hustled to survive in a world that had already decided what his life was worth. By 21, he was in prison on a burglary charge. Prison should have finished him. Instead, it built him. He read everything. Carter G. Woodson, Herodotus, the history they never taught him in school. It was also in prison that he found the Nation of Islam, a movement preaching black self-reliance and a dignity in a system that had never protected his people. When he walked out in 1952, Malcolm Little was gone. Malcolm X stepped out in his place. Over the next decade, he became something the country wasn't ready for. A black man on the national stage who refused to soften his words for white comfort, while others marched for integration. Malcolm spoke about self-defense. While others appealed to America's conscience, Malcolm questioned whether America had one. He also said something that still cuts today, that black artists, comedians, and entertainers were being used as puppets and spokesmen, pacifying the people instead of empowering them. The FBI took notice. Under COINTELPRO, they weren't just monitoring him, they were actively working to discredit him, destabilize his organization, and neutralize his influence. In their own words, the goal was to prevent the rise of a black messiah who could unite and electrify the movement. Malcolm was exactly what they were afraid of, but Malcolm kept evolving, and that's what made him truly dangerous. In 1964, he broke from the Nation of Islam. He took the message global. London, Paris, Cairo, Ghana. He stood before Oxford University and debated the world's sharpest minds. He met with heads of state across Africa and leaders of liberation movements, fighting the same war on different soil. In Mecca, he witnessed Muslims of every race praying side by side as equals. The vision his father carried through Garvey had finally found its ground. He came back changed. He stopped talking only about civil rights and started talking about human rights, connecting the black American struggle to liberation movements across Africa and Asia. That wasn't just America's problem, it was a global reckoning. That made him more dangerous than ever. They knew it too. A week before the Audubon ballroom, his house was firebombed. Death threats were constant. He told people close to him he didn't expect to survive the year. On February 21st, 1965, he walked onto that stage anyway. He never finished his speech. Shot 15 times in front of his wife, his children, his people. He was 39 years old. They killed the man, but they could not kill the idea. His words, his refusal to beg for dignity that was already his, it outlived him. It still does. So here's the question. The man who debated Oxford, walked the streets of Ghana, stood in Mecca, and was murdered for refusing to be quiet. Was he the radical they called him, or was he just the one brave enough to say what everyone already knew? And as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments below.